County, the local police do the investigation, and sometimes with a local prosecutor giving them legal advice. But when the case is filed and the person charged, the whole case goes over to the Summit County prosecutor. Now, it seems to me that if that is the final person in charge of that case, that it might make sense to have the county prosecutor involved. It might make sense to have the Summit County Sheriff involved in those initial investigations, because in the end, it ends up their case in common police court. So we're looking at ways to improve policing services so that we can get the most out of our dollars and make it the most efficient services that we can.
Okay, before we move on, if any of you have any questions as you've written out on the index cards, raise your hand and we'll have some volunteers here come around and pick them up.
Mr. Zagan, can I have a follow-up on that question?
Yeah, just a minute, please.
Okay.
I want to. Do we have any questions over here? Yeah, there's one way in the back. Who wants to get that one over there? All right. You can have a short follow-up, but we want to move on with these questions we're getting from the audience. Yes.
Can I go ahead? Yeah. The mayor mentions about there are ways that we could cut costs by eliminating departments downtown by maybe merging them with the county. And most recently, he leveled a threat to the inspection department, the building department downtown, saying that he was going to do just that. He was going to shut down our building inspections department, that he was going to see these men fired. They'd be out on the street looking for jobs. And the issue here is about the priority of safety in these buildings. Many contractors in the city of Akron want to cut corners, and I understand that. But when the mayor politicizes that department in such a way that he leans or puts pressure on the building department to do just that, we have a serious public safety issue. That's a health and safety issue. And so while he may think it's a good idea to shut down the department and give it to the county and end these people's jobs, I think it harkens back to our parking lot attendant threatening people with their jobs. But in reality, this is much more serious, because on the north side lofts, there was a very improper handling of the plans and permits there in inspection of that building. This raises the question of safety for the people that would live there, the people that would frequent the business establishments that are below that, and it's also for the people who might frequent those places, anybody that might live there or work there. The mayor has politicized this building inspection to the extent that there's several places in Akron where this is true. Canal Place had some 18 renovations there with no plans or permits pulled. This is a matter not just for the city of Akron and the residents, but the fire department. This endangers fire because they should have those plans. When there's a fire there, God forbid, when something happens in one of those places, they need to have those plans available to them so they can go inside and find their way around. It also affects the financial viability of that organization. In other words, any building that's found to be suspect in its security in terms of plans and permits runs a risk of financial ruin. That is, it's a threat to them. Not only that, but the Akron Thermal had a foundation poured. There were no inspections of that, or improper. Now, while many of those things have been resolved since then, the truth of the matter is there's a problem down there, and the press needs to look into this matter and see what's going on. Because the mayor, when he goes in and starts threatening people with their jobs, if anybody doubts what I'm saying is true, these will be made available to the press. We have a tape of him saying these things to the people in the building department, and they'll be available. Mr. Mendenhall, my spokesperson, has copies. Okay, so I just want to say one more thing, if I could here. Just one more. I just have a small, you took most of the time, Mr. Mayor. One more thing. And that is a rumor that the mayor can confirm, if he chooses to, that the interim chief building inspector, Angela Kavanaugh, resigned this past Friday, and the press needs to find out why. There's a serious issue here. And in my administration, there'll be a priority for safety for citizens and city workers. Thank you.
Well, I want to just mention address the last thing first. In 4 years, my opponent never brought in a single ordinance to address safety, to address poor people, to address health care, to address the police department, housing. There's not one single issue that he introduced a piece of legislation to deal with the building department or anything else. So for him to say whatever he says to you and claim that he has this sincere belief about something, look at the record. That's all I ask. My record is looking at departments and making them work for the citizens of Akron. We don't just have business people going into the building department. We have many residents who want to make small improvements on their home. And we have had an attitude situation there that sometimes is very difficult to deal with when you have civil service piled on top of union rules. And I make no apologies for saying to people who work for the city of Akron, if you are not taking care of the citizens of Akron, be they builders, be they regular average people who want to put a little front porch or fix their steps, then you should not be working at City Hall. But he fails to tell you that the state is investigating the building department, and we've encouraged them because they have experts to come in and be able to determine whether or not the people there are acting properly. And we have been involved in that process to make sure that they have all the information, they have all the things that they need to carry out this full investigation. I still believe that whether it's the building department, weights and measures, or a number of other departments that individual cities started to provide themselves rather than cooperate with the greater good of the community. I still believe there's opportunities there, regardless of what the individuals there are doing or not doing right. And I can tell you that I've had the conversation first with Jim McCarthy and with Russ Pry, that individuals in our building department can and will be hired with the county if there's any change that takes place, just as we offered the person from Weights and Measure. So I did tell people that they need to shape up in the building department because there's an investigation and that outcome is going to be known to everyone, and we're going to take action, and we're not going to stand for the bad service to Akron citizens.
The truth of the matter is, sir, let's see it.
We have over 50 questions, which would keep us till 5 o'clock. I have several here regarding the baseball stadium and the football stadium, and I would ask both of you, was the baseball stadium a good idea? And is the proposed football stadium a good idea? Who
I'll
wants to
speak
go?
to that first, if you don't
It's
mind.
my turn to go first.
I don't think so. You've had most of the time here today, Mr. Mayor.
Well,
If you don't mind.
keep track?
Go ahead, start. You're both going to get an
We'll
answer.
defer to you
so-
because he said I never make anybody angry. I guess I do. I guess I do.
Gentlemen, you'll both have a chance to answer the
Only people who
question.
care about honesty.
Yeah.
Oh, you have
What I,
great, you have a tremendous courage
I
to
have
say that out of your
determined-
mouth, sir.
What I have said many times is the baseball stadium in downtown helped turn around the whole atmosphere of downtown. Brought families, grandparents bringing their grandchildren, family members bringing other kids in the neighborhood. People came downtown in large numbers, gave them good reason to come down for good, wholesome family entertainment. We've added Lock 3 and other venues there to be able to bring people down for them, not just in and of itself for that purpose, but so that downtown became, as our expert that was hired by ARDB at that time, Mary Mean said, that downtown has to be a comprehensive place. If you want it to continue to be the largest place of employment, which it is, doubling, by the way, in the last 20 years, the number of people working there, different than what has been said by my opponent time and time again, doubling from the number that was estimated by ARDB of 14,000 to over 31,000 W-2s filed just in this small downtown area. That's not including the hospitals and the university. That place that we call downtown has importance because it's that place of employment. That's what's important. But to make it that, people want to feel comfortable. They want to have restaurants they can go to for lunch. And that means restaurants have to be successful, which means they have to have evening activities as well. So the baseball stadium, there is